everybody, Randy Kertz here for Bass Musician. So welcome to our first video of the new year. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope that it is treating you well so far and continues to do so. So this month I would like to talk about the right hand. We talk about the right hand often, about how we try to keep it in a more neutral position when plucking or picking, but not rigid, just not in excessive flexion or excessive extension. The excessive extension this way really is only going to come into play if you wear your bass very low and you're kind of slapping, or maybe with an upright player, that kind of thing. Otherwise, it's usually the flexion component that we're worried about. So I've talked to you about how that flexion will affect and can affect the bones and tendons leading to the bones and the muscles, and how this all can tighten up and give you tendonitis or can cause other problems such as the various tunnel syndromes, etc., etc. Something I'm noticing now, however, and have noticed this in the past certainly, but it's on my mind now, is you'll see players sometimes with their pinkies sticking out like that while they're playing, and they'll be chugging along and they probably don't even notice that the pinky's sticking out, but it does. I don't have an instrument in my hands right now, as you can see, but you can see the pinky. So what's happening there is that's when the hand is overly flexed. So that can be when one is either just bending a lot and it can rise up slowly while one's playing and kind of stay out like that. A lot of times it will happen when one is leaning the forearm on the instrument itself and then bending over like that. Whatever the reason, those are the most common. What you see is, again, in that excessive flexion like that, what happens is, because it's to the far end of the range of motion or even surpassing it, it causes the extending tendon attached to this finger to push it out in reaction to that excessive flexion. So it's almost like a resistance kind of thing. You bend too much and it causes it to go the other way. So what we want to do is just, again, have awareness of that right hand so that we're not bending it too much. And again, that goes back to usually the old suspects, leaning the forearm on the instrument, which produces that excessive hook-like thing with the right hand, or sometimes anchoring with the thumb and really leaning over your hand, rather flexing more than you would need to in order to compensate for that anchoring. So as usual, the remedies for that are to not bend your wrist so much, to affect more of a floating technique, where if you are anchoring, you're anchoring on the string just above the string that you're playing on. For example, if you're playing on the D string, you would either anchor on the E string with your thumb, or better yet, not anchor at all, that kind of thing. There's videos that we've done before that have talked more about the right hand technique that you can easily find. So just don't flex the wrist as much, and that pinky won't stick out like that. And if you see that happening, then just be aware of it, notice it, straighten out a little bit, and everything will be fine. Remember, straightening the wrist doesn't mean making it rigid, but rather just not being so bent, in more of a neutral position. It could still be loose and not bent so much. Randy Kertz, always available, DRKERTZ at DRKERTZ.com. I will be at the NAMM show, if you will be too. I will be at Groove Gear Friday and Saturday, the 27th and 28th of January, where we've got a product release and exciting announcements coming up. Check my Facebook page, Randall Kertz, Facebook, for that. Also, I'll be at the Lace Music booth, Lace Music, where we're going to have some demos of a new guitar that we're bringing out, and bass that have certain ergonomic features to them. So if you're there, please stop by and say hello. Again, always available, DRKERTZ at DRKERTZ.com. My book, The Basis Guide to Injury Management, Prevention, and Better Health, available as an ebook from my website, www.drkertz.com, and also available as a physical, still from basebooks.com, and that is it. Okay? Thanks a lot. Have a good year. Have a good week. Have a good month. Have a good all the time. Thanks. Bye.